an exciting day for Springfield. I am incredibly honored to be welcoming the Senior Advisor to the President of the United States on Infrastructure, Mr. Mitch Landrieu. And so I'm incredibly honored to kick this off, and I'm going to ask Mr. Landrieu to give us some remarks as well. But I wanted to also acknowledge our new mayor, Springfield Mayor Misty Buscher, for being here, the Sangamon County Board Chairman, Andy Van Meter, for helping us to pull all of this together, Hanson Engineering, my good friend Satch Pecori. I also want to give a shout out to the men and women of organized labor that are here that are making all of this possible. But the laborers, operators, I know Smart's here. And so I just want to say a big thank you to all the men and women of organized labor. I know that we were also joined, we were just visiting the 1908 race riot site and learning more about that. Senators Durbin and Duckworth had representatives at those, and I think we're going to reconnect with them a little later. But as we kick this off this morning, at what I hope will be, again, the future site of the 1908 Springfield race riot, a little bit behind us, memorializing the tragic event and its role in the creation of the NAACP. We're very honored today to be having us join Teresa Haley, who is the state president of the NAACP, with us, an organization that has led the charge in securing and protecting civil rights for Black Americans both locally and nationally for decades. I am so glad to be helping to lead that effort with Senator Duckworth and also Congressman Darren LaHood. We've introduced some legislation, a bipartisan effort to get this done. We also just finished up a tour of the construction of the rail improvements project in the Springfield-Sangamon County Transportation Hub. We're going to be having a roundtable discussion just after this, which I'm looking forward to, with a lot of the local leaders that are here joined with us today and other stakeholders to talk about how communities like ours can really best access federal infrastructure funding. And that's why I'm just so honored to have Mr. Landrieu here with us here today. But what I want to be sure to highlight here today is that right now, with the help of actually $98.1 million on federal grants, $19.1 million of which came directly from the bipartisan infrastructure law that was made possible by this president. Our community has transformative work happening to improve safety, reconnection of our neighborhoods here in Springfield, reduction of noise from our train horns, and bringing together transportation services through Amtrak, Greyhound, and the SMTD at one beautiful hub that is right behind us. These federal resources have together, in large part, I want to give special credit to the efforts of our United States Senator Dick Durbin for helping us to secure those critical federal funds. And I want to so thank you to Senator Durbin for being such a critical part of this project. Not only will these projects help improve our city, but all of this work is creating good paying union jobs, which is so important. So with that, I am going to turn it over to our special guest, Mr. Landrieu. I also, actually, the state president of the Illinois AFL-CIO just joined us, so I want to make sure I acknowledge him, Tim Dre, and welcome him for joining us at this event as well. And so I'm going to... Thank you. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Landrieu for some remarks, and then we'll take some questions and answers. So thank you.
Congresswoman, thank you so much, and it's great to be with all of you this morning. Mayor, thank you. On behalf of the president, if he were here, he would say the words, thank you for your passport to your city. It's great to be in Springfield. Teresa, it's great to be with you and the NAACP. And of course, to all of our friends in labor, it's great to see you. I'm glad you made it. We have some other brothers, that are with us today, and I would be remiss if I didn't reiterate the president's commitment to making sure that we have high-paying union jobs, to make sure that we rebuild America, because as the president often says, that the middle class built America and the unions built the middle class. And so it's critically important to him as these projects hit the ground. I was here yesterday, cutting the ribbon on massive investments in Lock 22 and Lock 25. Both projects would not have been possible without the leadership of Senator Durbin and Senator Duckworth. Both of those projects collectively are in excess of $800 million that are not only going to preserve fish passages and conservation, but also improve the navigation along the mighty Mississippi River. Now, you guys might be fooled by my accent, but I live on the Mississippi down just a little piece down the road in Louisiana. And as I said yesterday, water can be a great life-giving force, but it can also be a life-taking force. You cannot manage that river. You can just work with it. She will have her way with you. And as many of us know in this country, it is the life artery of getting goods out of the soil, onto the barges, getting them onto ships, and then getting them to the shelves. And that is whether or not we're dealing with materials to build facilities like this, whether it's national security or whether it's food to nourish our nation. So I'm thankful to be here for that announcement. I've been here many times before on behalf of the president, as has been not too long ago the vice president announcing a massive investment in the Calumet bridges on the south side of Chicago, $1 billion investment in the Great Lakes, and then substantially more money than that. The state of Illinois has received billions of dollars already from the bipartisan infrastructure law, and I'm happy to be here today to celebrate this 19.1 raise investment that came out of the bill money. But there's also $99 million more federal dollars in this incredible project. And what I really love about what I saw yesterday and what I saw today is the country beginning, Satch, you know this because you've rebuilt lots of parts of it. It works when everybody comes together. So I just want to say how important it is to the President of the United States to watch the vision that he had for the country come into reality in 1990, not 1998, not 1999, not 2010, not 2016, but in 1990, Joe Biden wrote about how important it was in order to rebuild the country, to rebuild our infrastructure first, because that is the cornerstone of a great economy, and the great economy is the cornerstone of our nation's security. They all fit together. So the president said that if you elect me, I'm going to use the power of my presidency to restore the soul of the nation, to unite the country, but as importantly, to rebuild the backbone of the country, and to do that through making sure that we had federal dollars hitting the ground that actually created high-paying union jobs, that reconnected neighborhoods, that remembered our whole history, not some of our history, but our whole history, so that we could take a march to our more perfect union. So I was thrilled to join Teresa and the Congresswoman this morning and the mayor to go take a look at the proposed memorial for the 1908 massacres which took place that people seem to have forgotten. We cannot forget our past. We cannot forget our whole past, and we will never, ever achieve the future that is available to us for all. So it's a critically important project. But this one is too. Because one of the things this RAISE grant is going to help us do is reconnect neighborhoods. As Teresa reminded us this morning, if you're a person of color in this country and somebody asks you where you live, if you're from Louisiana, we would ask you where you live at. One of the answers, if you're a person of color, is on the other side of. And that's the other side of the tracks, the other side of the bridge, the other side of the water. And in some instances, it was designed that way. And even when it was not designed that way, the consequence of that was it was harder for people to get to and from. Not just work, not just school, not just play, but if someone was sick, you couldn't get that either. And that added a negative consequence to people's opportunities to live the American dream. And so one of the component parts of this $500 million project, besides all the federal money that is in it, are component parts to reconnect neighborhoods that have been disassociated from time to time. So $1.2 trillion the president put on the table to rebuild our roads, our bridges, our airports, our ports, our waterways, to make sure every human being in the United States of America has access to high-speed internet, because a little girl does not need to be sitting in the back of her mama's car outside of McDonald's trying to do her homework by stealing their internet, because that's the kid that's going to be the next Satch. That's the kid that's going to run the AFL-CIO. That's the young lady that's going to take us to Mars. That's the young lady that's going to find the cure for cancer. If they don't have access to knowledge, there is no equalization. And so making sure everybody has high-speed internet is critically important. The other thing is clean air and safe water. Our children do not need to be drinking water with lead in it. It damages your brain. It makes you sick. And so basically we're telling that the Great Lakes need to be a place where people can recreate and economic activity can take place. And so the final part of that is a clean energy economy where we actually start to deal with the climate crisis behind us. I go through all of that with you so that you can ask me the question, well, Mitch, you've been there 18 months. What y'all been doing? How's it going? It's a great question. Let me answer it for you. In 18 months, November 15th, 2021, when the president announced this bill, he looked at me and he said, help make this thing happen. And our team has hit the ground running. And our team is all of the federal agencies. Our team is all the governors. Our team are all the infrastructure coordinators. Our team are all the state DOTs. Our team are the mayor. Our team is the NAACP. Our team is labor. We have $220 billion pushed out of the door. We've funded over 32,000 projects in 4,500 communities in all 50 states, in all the territories, and Washington, D.C. And the consequence of that is what the president predicted, 12.7 million jobs in 2 years. That's more jobs than every other president has created in 4 years of being in office. The lowest unemployment rate in the last 50 years in our country. 800,000, hear me now, 800,000 manufacturing jobs where the president predicted we would start making things in the United States again, where we're onshoring jobs so that men and women, particularly in labor, are able to build generational wealth. And we do it in a way that reconnects communities, make sure that everybody that did not have a chance of participating in the benefit of that actually comes into this. That's why the word equity is important. And that's making sure that everybody, whether you live in the lower Ninth Ward, in the hollows of Kentucky, whether you live in the tribal communities in Alaska, get a piece of the opportunity to make America the great country that we've all promised ourselves to be. And this project that we're talking about today is a great example. Multimodal transportation. Amtrak's got a piece of this, $66 billion in this bill to make sure that the tracks that Amtrak had, that the trains that they're running on, that they're manufactured here, that they're electrified, that we're using component parts are part of this project. Transit, to make sure that folks can get to and from where they need to go in a clean bus that's electrified so that you don't have to smell all that exhaust when you get off of the back of it. It's clean air. It cleans up your health possibilities. And folks, those folks that are getting on those buses every day are the folks that are serving every one of us. And oh, by the way, it's not just about helping them get on the bus. It's helping those communities have folks that actually can be the manufacturers of the bus and own the companies that actually manufacture the buses as well. And then finally, the connection to our past and our history, all critically important to the welfare of the United States of America. This is the effort that President Biden has led. He made a promise, and I'm here to deliver on that promise on his behalf today. It would not have been possible, Congresswoman, without you and without your help. And of course, to Senators Durbin and Senators Duckworth and to your entire congressional delegation, they actually got the thing passed, but everybody else here is the tip of the spear in actually getting it done. Because you can pass a piece of legislation, but if you don't turn dirt, you kind of left behind. And that's not where we are. That's why we have hit the ground running. That's why you see these projects having turned dirt. This particular project, the project manager tells me, is going to be done in the very foreseeable future so the American people can know what we're doing. So building the team, getting the money out of the door, getting the project done and telling the story, that's what the American dream is about. And that's how, together with the president, we're going to make a better America. So thank you all. God bless you. And thank you on behalf of President Biden for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Landrieu. It's important because I think exactly what Mr. Landrieu said. We can't forget our past. Our past instructs our present. One of the most important things I think we could do, we're doing all this transformative work in downtown Springfield, led by all of these great leaders behind me, but a key foundational part is making sure that we're memorializing our history, and that is the 1908 race riots, reflecting on what happened there, and that it's an integral part of our city's history, and that a part of what this project does, as Mr. Landrieu said, is break through barriers, connect our communities that were very disconnected and still today are disconnected. How are we reconnecting our communities? Part of that story, part of that history lies within the story of the 1908 race riot. It is why it is so critically important that we actually memorialize it, make it a national monument as a part of all of these other really critical parts of our transportation hub and investments that we're making at the federal level. Just on the 1908 race riot, we're pursuing this, making this a national monument in two ways. One of them is legislative, and that's a bipartisan effort. I would give a shout out to also Senator Duckworth, who has really been leading the charge in the Senate. But I have a Republican counterpart that's helping me, Congressman Darren LaHood. We're co-leading this legislation in the House to actually memorialize, make this monument a national effort. I'm standing behind our Sangamon County Chairman, Andy Van Meter. We're working together This isn't a Democratic or Republican issue. Investing in jobs, investing in infrastructure, this is about what's best for all of our community, and that's not a partisan issue.